here we see the moon only 5 days away from a total eclipse. So we're going to see a lot more of this here in the coming days. Very nice morning here in North Texas, and we're going to take a look at the cloud forecast for eclipse time. Here's a really good photography trick. So you come away learning all kinds of stuff from this channel, and that's using the exposure, the manual exposure settings. Notice how the detail in the moon's surface increases as I adjust that. Normally it defaults where the moon is really, really bright because it doesn't know what to do with those shades, but if you stop that down a little bit, you'll get a much better picture there. And here I've overridden the focus to get a little bit of an artistic effect with the pine tree here. Hey, good evening. It's Wednesday morning, and I know a lot of you are very concerned with eclipse weather coming up here in about 5 days. That's going to be on the 21st, and I've got a preliminary look at cloud cover, so let me bring that up here. This is based on a very thorough look at all the different models that came in overnight on Wednesday morning. So let me move this out of the way here. You can see that it looks like we do have some problems in the southeast, especially around Atlanta into South Carolina. We're going to have a tropical system coming on shore around Biloxi, moving up into Alabama. So likely a lot of rain and mid and high cloud layers in that area. And you can see the other area we're concerned about with is the models have been signaling for a while the idea of a mesoscale convective system up in this area. The question is, how far east or west is that? And we're thinking right now it's probably going to be in the Iowa and Minnesota area, possibly down into northern Missouri. So a lot could change on that. We'll just kind of wait and see. But right now, that's where things look a little bit tricky. Good visibility in Texas and Oklahoma, also in the northeast U.S. into Ohio. Things looking good there. And in Oregon, I'm thinking probably some good weather. You may pick up some clouds as you get closer to the Pacific. Of course, the marine layer out there, that's always going to be cloudy out there. And then I think we're going to have some high clouds coming up from the Four Corners and New Mexico. And part of that is due to a trough that we're going to be seeing in the desert southwest. A little bit of troughing in there, bringing up some anvil blow-off from thunderstorms up in the mountains here. So there is going to be kind of humid there and subject to upper lift. So maybe some scattered to broken layers in there, and that would in fact kind of out onto the plains right there. But overall things to me are looking pretty good for the Great Plains. I-35 up to Iowa and points westward I think are looking good. This here is a quick look at some of the factors I've been looking at. The right here is a count of ensemble members that had significant convection going on, because everything this time of year is mostly convection driven. So I factor that in, and then I consider debris clouds, so I go up to the relative humidity levels here, and I take a look at that, and then I look at dynamic lift. And only two areas with significant dynamic lift, and those are well to the north and to the south. So you see here the little MCS here that the models were picking up on, centered on Iowa. So we'll be keeping an eye on that there. And also very high precipitable water across the southeast U.S., which means lots of moisture through all the levels in the troposphere. And some extra moisture in Georgia and South Carolina there. So I think they may be looking at broken to overcast conditions there. But, we'll wait and see, and maybe there will be some change. This is an example of ensembles from the GFS. These are all different individual runs with slightly different starting conditions on each one. And we can see, like for this run right here, it puts a lot of shower activity in Iowa and Minnesota, and the other model doesn't. And this one has nothing up there. So that's really about all we have to go on. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for consistency between this and some of the other fields, and also consistency with the European model, because we've got one frame from that, the 144-hour forecast. So I've taken that and built kind of a picture of what things are like at 850 millibars. That's on that chart. So I've been able to X out the ones that do not agree with the European model. And that leaves me with a choice of other different models here. So that's one approach we can take there to finding the solution. So I think what we're going to have here is a kind of a deep southwesterly flow through the plains, like you see right here. We're seeing it on all of these models here. This one a little bit too far south. But we can kind of take these and look at the precip fields to get an idea of the coverage we might be looking at on Monday. So for example, member 7, that looks like a pretty decent match. It's got a anticyclone over North Carolina, which looks good. Matches up pretty well with that. So we can look at the precip field on that, just for a rough guess. And there it is. You can see the MCS there. Let me zoom in on that for you. Showing precip for this solution in Iowa, south of Minneapolis there, and showers along the Gulf Coast. So some of that's going to affect probably the Atlanta area. And I think this is actually a pretty good representation of what may happen. But Arkansas seems to be a little bit under the gun too. So pretty much anywhere around the Mississippi River Valley, it is looking a little bit sketchy. And here's a look at some other ensemble models that checked out. These had inconsistencies here, so I kind of skipped over those. This member 7 here, that's looking pretty good there. And also model 10, member 10. Agreement with the ECMWF, and you can see that precip a little bit further north, up in Minnesota, coming up into Arkansas and the southern Ozarks, and that usual coverage here south of Atlanta and Birmingham due to that tropical wave down to the south. And I really don't see any problems west of Omaha, west of Lincoln, west of Concordia, the Great Plains out in this area. I think it's going to be okay. Some of the models have been throwing in precip, and let me see if I can find an example of that. Yeah, like right here. The problem with this is that typically this is not an initiation area during the midday hours unless there's a front in that area. So typically what we see is the storms developing on the high plains around eastern Colorado, western Nebraska, and those move eastward during the day. So I don't think that scenario is really going to pan out too much. This scenario looks a little bit more realistic. And you can see kind of a lack of precip right there in the Great Plains. So I kind of stand by the forecast, and there's one last look at it. And I wanted to kind of make this short and sweet. Let me zoom out so you can get... Okay, and there you go. The eclipse forecast at the time of the eclipse. And again, this is not conclusive. It's subject to change, and we're going to take a look at this again later this evening. Today's 8 p.m. weathercast, and again 8 p.m. Thursday, Friday, and on into the weekend. So we'll get you to some clear skies one way or the other. So I appreciate you watching the webcast. I've been up pretty much all night programming and getting things caught up. And hopefully we'll see you on the webcast. You can talk and chat to the people there. That's going to be at youtube.com/timwxx/live, 8 p.m. Central. So hopefully we will see you there. Take care, and thanks for watching.